Philippine News, newscast for April 26 to May 2nd, 2013. Good day to everyone. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat and welcome to the website of Philippine News. These are our stories for the day. We'd like to start with the news that Philippine troops have been strengthened to protect candidates and additional Marines have been deployed in Mindanao to break up rebel-set roadblocks targeting politicians campaigning for the May 13 elections. The Philippines deployed hundreds of extra troops as it vowed April 24th to protect candidates for next month's midterm elections after communist guerrillas ramped up armed attacks. The new People's Army was attacking soft targets, including politicians, to blackmail them into paying for permits to campaign without guerrilla interference. The Maoist guerrilla group ambushed Ruth Gingona, 78-year-old mayor of Gimog City, on the southern island of Mindanao on April 20, killing two of her aides and leaving her and two policemen wounded. Gingona belongs to Aquino's Liberal Party and is married to former Vice President Teofisto Gingona. Her son is a senator. But after the ambush, the NPA warned politicians to seek permission before campaigning in their stronghold and to refrain from bringing in armed bodyguards. The NPA stepped up their attacks in Mindanao on Tuesday, lobbing a grenade at a police station, exchanging fire with the military patrol, and abducting a soldier in separate incidents. The military estimates rebels have 4,000 fighters nationwide, down from more than 26,000 at their peak in the late 1980s. The government has held intermittent peace talks with them since 1986, but without success. Next in line is a news about tighter security for San Francisco races after the Boston blasts. Authorities are briefing up security measures at the upcoming big races in San Francisco in the wake of the twin bombings at the Boston Marathon earlier this month. Authorities are working with the race organizers to make sure everything goes smoothly and safely at the Bay to Breakers on May 19th and the San Francisco Marathon on June 16th. San Francisco is already pretty thorough in putting together security and medical plans with event organizers. In light of what has happened in Boston, the City Department of Emergency Management is going to review these plans and work with event organizers on what else they could do. Authorities and event organizers declined to detail their security plans because that could compromise their efforts, but said in general that they are enhancing police presence and medical staffing. The public is also asked to report anything suspicious, no matter how small it may seem. The policemen are being proactive in investigating the smallest complaint, and their officers are always heightened on alert. Stepped-up measures are also being applied to other large events, such as San Francisco Giants baseball game and other events where there might be big crowds. This time we tackled news about the Chinese poacher ship hauled off the Philippine Reef. A Chinese fishing vessel that ran aground in one of the Philippines' most famous coral reefs more than a week ago was removed last April 19th, the Coast Guard said. The 48-meter or 157 feet long ship was hauled by tugboat from Tubataha, a UNESCO World Heritage listed coral reef near the western island of Palawan, where its crew are facing serious charges. According to the salvage team, the hull of the vessel is still okay, so it is safe to tow the vessel. The ship will be taken to Preseda City, capital of Palawan, where its 12 Chinese crewmen were arraigned on Friday. They were arrested for alleged poaching in the Marine Reserve in anger mounted after hundreds of dead pangolins, or scaly ant-eaters, were later discovered in their ship. At a hearing in Puerto Princesa City, the men entered a plea of not guilty to the poaching charges, while their lawyer, Alex Hagmis, asked for more time to prepare for his case. Meanwhile, Palawan Environmental Legal Officer Adelina Villena said, regardless of whether the animals came from Palawan or elsewhere, the men could still be jailed between 12 and 20 years for transporting a threatened species through Tubataha. And finally, with regard to the 2013 Philippine elections, the overseas absentee voting is now underway until May 13. Philippine Consulate in San Francisco reminds all registered overseas voters that the election period for 2013 Philippine senatorial and party list elections started last April 13, and this would last till May 13. Philippine Commissions on Election has begun mailing the ballots packet directly to registered voters abroad. Registered voters are encouraged to carefully go over the instructions on accomplishing the ballot and mail them to the Philippine Consulate General in San Francisco as soon as possible. All accomplished ballots should be received by the Philippine Consulate before 4 a.m. on May 13, which coincides with the closing of the election period in the Philippines. Philippine Consul General Marciano Painor Jr. stated that our kababayans are once again given the opportunity to participate in a major political exercise in the Philippines. We call on all registered overseas voters to exercise the right to vote and take an active part in selecting our country's leaders. And this has been your weekly news in review. This news has been brought to you by the premier Filipino-American newspaper right here in the United States, the Philippine News. On behalf of the management and staff of the Philippine News, this is David Rodriguez signing off and thanking everyone for listening. Maraming salamat po. Have a wonderful weekend. Mabuhay po sa inyong lahat.